Hi guys, this is Satorix here bringing you a fantastic early/beginner friendly currency farming guide. This guide is for those of us that just completed a majority of our Atlas and are ready to start farming some currency. I appreciate you guys being here. Now let's get to what y'all came for, the money! Alright, so some pros and cons of this strategy. The pros are, it is very minimal investment. It's just Alch and go with a huge upside in the currency that you generate. So with an approximate of 2 divine an hour with no luck involved is expected, and with some luck it's actually pretty easy to get over about 5 divine an hour with this. The only con to this build is that it must be able to survive with a Deli mirror, which shouldn't be too hard because we're not really going to be juicing Deli a whole lot, just enough to make sure that we get some of the rewards, which we'll go over in the Atlas passive tree. So let's hop on over there. Alright, so as you see here, I have about 120 points on the tree, and this stat becomes viable with about 90 to 95 points. So you're probably curious by now what the strategy is. Well, it is Scarabs and Deli farming. So why Scarabs and why Deli? So Scarabs and Deli orbs are the consistency on this strategy. You're going to drop a lot of Scarabs. We get every single node that has increased Scarabs on the tree. And the Deli orbs that you get from this node up here also is a very consistent amount of money. And each of these, with the Scarabs and the Deli, have a huge Gamba aspect of it. There are some Scarabs that are going right now for about 9 divine each, and there are some item level 80 for cluster jewels that are worth at least 10 divines as well. So there's a lot of Gamba in it, and also a lot of consistency. That's why that range in profit is so much. Alright, first let's talk about all of the important Scarab nodes, and the answer is all of them. So this is going to increase the amount of Scarabs found in your maps. That is super important. And then you have this one here, that unique monsters in your maps have a 200% chance to drop Scarabs. Bosses, also rogue exiles, delirium bosses, any orange mob has a 200% increased chance to drop Scarabs. So that's also huge. This one up here gives your rares, or any monster that has a modifier affecting them, an increase of 50% chance to drop a Scarab. So those horrifying mobs with 7 different modifiers has a really big chance of dropping you additional Scarabs. Over here, this is your lottery ticket. This is making your less common varieties of Scarabs more common. And then this one makes all of the boss in each map drop 25 additional Scarabs. And this also scales with one of the Necropolis passives, where the bosses spawn within the packs. So if you get one of those, you can get an absolute ton of Scarabs in that map. So on these nodes down here, it's very much what you choose as far as like the extra likelihood of the Scarabs that you want. The 2 that are going to provide the most money and consistency to you is the Essence Scarabs and the Ambush Scarabs. Each of these, on their very base Scarab drop, the most common one, are pretty sought after and valuable. Harbinger has a couple of them that are good, so I throw this in here as well. And then I throw in the Anarchy to support my constant rogue exile spamming, which is nice. And then Reliquary also has a couple of good ones. So those are the 4 that I chose here. You can kind of split up and do whatever you want on those. I don't think any of them are bad per se. But you heard me mention Rogue Exiles. And yes, it also has Rogue Exiles in it. The big points for your Rogue Exiles are going to be the Rogue Trader, which is going to give your Rogue Exiles a 50% chance to have additional rewards. And they will get more life for it, but that's okay. They're not too difficult. But it gives you 50% chance to have additional rewards, and you'll see them on the minimap when they have those rewards above them. This has gotten me a lot of T17 maps. This has also gotten me a few divines, which is really cool. The other really important nodes for the Rogue Exiles is the Exiled Will, which all of the Rogue Exiles in your map become possessed by tormented spirits. And this Ruckus is an 8% chance to contain 20 additional Rogue Exiles. And this happens pretty frequently. And when it does happen, your map will give you a ton of money. It's very nice. Now, you're probably wondering why the Tormented Spirits. Well, these 3 nodes right here are the sole reason why we put Exiled Will on. 20% increased quantity of items dropped by possessed or touched monsters in your map. All 3 of these. So these, on top of this, on top of this, and on top of this, for any other mob that has a tormented on it, is just going to pop. It's really, really nice. And this is where the bulk of the profit comes from on your Delirium and your Rogue Exiles. Now, you're probably starting to figure out why Delirium now. And Delirium is really good if you get Paranoid Fixation, because it gives you a 2% chance to drop an additional Cluster Jewel, which is the item level 84 Cluster Jewels. This is where you're going to really, really profit on the lottery of Delirium. Because if you get a Ruckus in there and you have 20 additional Rogue Exiles and a 2% for clusters to drop, every 4 maps you're getting an item level 84 Cluster Jewel. And if that hits something like Reservation Efficiency or a 12 passive cold damage or a 12 passive with bow damage, you're talking multiple divines. And the Delirium orbs just stack up over time and give you the consistent money with it. I am probably going to take off Pathological here because that's not, you don't really want that. But what you do want is the 8% chance to contain Delirium Mirrors, these 3. You want to get all of your Delirium nodes that say contain Delirium Mirror. This gives you about a 95 to 96% chance of getting a Delirium Mirror in every single one of your maps. And it does work all the time. I don't use a Scarab for it, nothing. So definitely make sure you get this node, and make sure you get these 3 nodes, this full wheel, and this helps keep your Delirium Fog from dissipating fast. Now, do not get these ones here. So these 3 nodes for Delirium are going to make it very rippy and increase the difficulty of the build tenfold. So definitely ignore these last 3 on this wheel here and just get the other Delirium nodes. As you can see, I have a little bit of Beyond in here, but I'm currently taking them off. It doesn't work as well from my experience. Sorry, we're just going to do that now. And I did decide to go with Eater of Worlds. So the reason being, normally I would have done Searing, but with the Scarab changes, there's no longer a reason because the Awakened Sextances no longer drop. So I went to Eater of Worlds so that I can get the Divine Altars, and I feel like this is just a better currency income, and my build just does a little better on the Eater of Worlds. And again, there's definitely some lottery there. Now for the most important part, the loot. The reason why I do this. So this right here is my Scarab tab, and I just got done selling, so I'm kind of rebuilding it back up. And what you'll see is quite a bit of everything, right? I'm getting almost all of the Scarabs that the game has, and at these beginning ones, you can see that there's quite a lot of them, and eventually they all build up enough, and there's so many different varieties of content that can be done right now that they will all sell. It is a little bit time consuming to sell them all, but definitely worth it because this is the bulk of the profit that you're going to be making. You can drop a 24 Chaos Scarab, and you can drop a 9 Divine Scarab. So there's a lot of money in there. The next thing that you will get is a lot of your orbs. I have so many orbs in here, and there's a couple things that you can do. You can just hold on to them for now, which is what I'm doing, or you can use blue juice and roll them and try to get the cartography delirium orbs, which right now at this very second are at about 7 per divine. Or if you can get skitterings, obviously that is the best play. You also build up simulacrums over time, which is nice, and it's one of my favorite contents in the game to do, so I save them up to do them myself. But if you don't want to, they are currently selling in bulk for 3 per divine. So there's just another divine just sitting here waiting for me. Not to mention all of the gear you end up getting along the way that you can sell. And the clusters. There is a ton of clusters, and a majority of them I roll myself. Like I'm currently trying to roll this one here, and I'm just saving up some alterations to do so to sell. So that is why this is such a good guide. It requires very little amount of investment and a lot of money, and you're going to get a lot of T16s. Your maps are going to sustain themselves because of the type of juice. Money! Because of the type of juice that you have. So I have a ton of T16s, and let me just sell this real quick. I also have currently 3 T17s. Those sell very fast based off of the rewards that they are there. But yeah, this is my currency guide. See, we're just selling stuff all over the place. This is my currency guide. I really appreciate you guys coming. If you want to see more, or you'd be interested in me doing more guides, please just comment, let me know, come say hi and kick, ask me what the secret word is, or the secret to life, and I would be happy to tell you. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, and we'll see you later.